come. This is Henry, and Henry has a tremendous amount of cortisol, the stress hormone in his body. And tell because he's very twitchy. So we call this efficiency of movement. If your dog snaps its head around like that as opposed to just kind of casually looking. Cortisol is the stress hormone. It goes into our blood. It accelerates our breathing, accelerates our heart rate, and it stops all non-essential body functions. This is the sensation you get if you're walking down an aisle and you hear footsteps behind you in a dark night. You're preparing your body's preparing yourself for fight or for flight. And so you don't need to digest if you need to survive. The body's like, take the energy from digestion and move it towards the muscles. So basically, and you can see, and if you look at his mouth right now, a lot of people interpret that as a smile. He's not doing it right now. But when he opens his mouth, he's breathing heavily like this right there. So that actually is not a smile. That is actually stress. You can see it because you can notice his chest is moving in and out a little bit as well. Now, I took him for a walk. And I'm going to show you how to teach you a hand targeting exercise in a second. I'm just going to explain what's going on. I took him for a walk. His pupils are also super dilated. That can be an indication to be overwhelmed. So on the walk, he would not take any of the treats that he will take here. He's a little bit more comfortable here because it's his parents' house. But if you're outside somewhere and the dog won't take a treat that you normally know they'll take, that means they're over threshold is what we call it, and they're almost on the edge of hysteria. So what I'm going to do, target, is I'm just going to show you the exercise. This is a super duper easy exercise. All he has to do is touch his nose to my hand, and then he gets a treat, and I say the word target. This is what we do with a lot of dogs at shelters, because the dog that cowers in the back is far less likely to get adopted. So we teach them touching your nose to a person's hand gets you a treat. Then you come and put your hand through the bars, the dogs come and touch their nose to it. In this situation, what I was originally called in for is one of the guardians has difficulty putting the leash on. Now I'm using the leash because he probably would run away from me because I think he's just, in his case, he doesn't have a lot of rules and structure. He was from an abused background. I think that he thinks he's in charge. The progression is turn, lean, step, steps. So you saw first we got to turn, we just got to lean there. So when I do this, I karate chop my hand. And when I karate chop my hand, it's empty and I keep it frozen. Well, you're supposed to take it off my hand, buddy. Let's try that again. Target. You see that little twitch that he had? That's the cortisol. So basically what I'm doing is just teaching him. For me, he doesn't want me touching him. I reach to touch him and he turns his head away. Actually now, well, because we're doing this exercise, that's why we do this exercise. It promotes touching us and interacting with us. So when you do a karate chop, now he didn't go for it, that's too far away. So I'm going to pull it back and karate chop closer. Target. So once I karate chop, I keep it frozen to give him a chance to come and touch it with my nose. If he doesn't, I pull back and I chop closer. And we want to do this on the right side and left side of his head. Let me see if I can do it this way. And there's a little tension on the line, but that's okay. But normally you would not do this with a leash. You might need to do it with a leash if he's running away from you. All right, let's see if we can do it the other side. Now, dog's eyes are very attracted to movement. I'm waiting for him to look. I'm holding my hand up here ready. As soon as he looks in my direction, I'm going to snap it down like a karate chop. And that's going to attract his attention. Target. And when he touches my nose, his nose to my hand, he gets a reward. I'm using the freeze-dried chicken liver, or this is actually beef liver. I normally use chicken liver. It wasn't high enough value for him. Target. Let's see if we can get a step out of you. Target. So he didn't touch it, so I pull back and I chop closer. Target. Now, if you're seeing in this one, I'm actually doing it right in front of his face. I really would prefer you chopping on the side of his face, so they turn this way or that way. He's just so out of sorts that I'm just kind of doing whatever works at this point, but eventually you want to chop on the sides. Chop closer. Target. Remember, anytime the treat goes in the mouth, you should hear the command word after. Target. So after a while, it's like I have the force. I can move. Now we do this for a couple reasons. We do this because dogs have something called an opposition reflex. If I push him this way, he is programmed to push or pull against it. Now right now he's fearfully, so his tail tuck right there. So I don't want to manipulate because he's already not feeling good. But if we push a dog's butt down or push him this way or that way, we're taking away their free will and it makes them feel frustrated and less empowered. Anybody do another one? So I pull it back and I chop closer. And he may be, because he's stressed, this is not the optimal time to do it. We're just on the clock. I'm getting ready to end the session, so I want to make sure that I gave the guardians a tool that they can use. When he's nice and relaxed, this should be much easier, and you're going to practice this when I get done off camera. Target. So the progression, what I want you to do is about 10 to 12 treats. You chop, and you're still chewing weight. Chop. Oh, that's sit. Normally I wouldn't do that for this exercise, but for him we want to reward him. Anything that he does is positive. Target. So when you're doing this, you're going to have about 12 treats. You're going to chop on this side or that side, and if you chop and he doesn't come forward, and with an empty hand, the mistake people have is they put a treat here and chop with it. The whole point of this is to get him to come to a hand that has no treats, and we will treat you after you do the job to pay you for doing a good job. All right, these are now getting to the crumb part, so I'm going to combine these. These don't combine as well, so let's see if we can get one more. Chop. He didn't, so I pull back. I'm going to go this way. Target. Okay, so I want you to do this with about 12 treats. Dogs don't generalize well, so I don't want you to only practice here. I want you to practice here, there, bedroom, kitchen, dining room set, all over the place. So the idea is that he practices doing this wherever. Now, as he gets better and better at it, he's even more confident. So the progression that we go through is turn, lean, step, steps. So at first we want to pry chop, so he has to just turn his head to touch his nose to get it. Once he's doing that pretty proficiently, then we move it a little bit further away. Now he has got to lean to touch his nose to it. And then we put, and once we chop, it's frozen, we take the treat from our other hand and put it there. And I hold my hand at a diagonal angle. If you hold like this, it's going to fall right off. If you hold it here, it can sit there. And make sure it's at nose level, not too high. So once he's getting to the point where he leans for it, then we would like him to take one step to lean to get it, and then multiple steps. Eventually, I could go like from 15 feet away, go like this, and the dog would run across the room and touch his nose to my hand. This is an alternative way of calling your dog, but in his case, he doesn't like having one of his guardians put the leash on him, and I think the leash represents, he might have been abused or something like that. So now we're saying, so when you want to leash him up, once you have this technique down, then you can just go like this. He comes over to you, you put the treat there, he gets the treat. Do that 2 or 3 times, and then he's pretty close to your proximity. And without snatching, don't ever snatch him unless you absolutely have to. And eventually, when he's nice and relaxed, you can kind of very casually reach over and grab the leash. And then you attach the leash. But we don't want to do it in a sudden movement. And again, you can see that cortisol. Also, if you ever see his tail, like it's right now, you can see it going between his legs. Don't ever pet him when his tail's between his legs. If you do want to comfort him, you can lay your hand on him and let him know I'm here with you. They do associate that with touch, but as soon as you start petting him, you're going to make it worse. Can we do one more time? Let's do one more good one. Do it, make it really easy. There you go. Target. I was just thinking in the East Coast, they would say, this is Henry. They put a D in there. This is Henry, and these are some tips and tricks I give you to do a hand targeting exercise to help condition a dog that approaching a human and touching it with his nose is a positive activity.